Hey guys, Regal here. This is going to be a resource video for an updated any percent beginner route for Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition using the Black Knight Greatsword, upgraded to +5. The beginner route that new runners have been using for the past couple of years with the Dragon Tooth +0, while still an option, it's a little outdated and, in my opinion, still has some annoying parts to the run. It's also a lot different from the optimal world record route at this point. This newer route is going to be a lot more identical to the current record route, while also having an easier overall route to run. Because of this, it will hopefully be an easier transition for runners wanting to move on to the more advanced strategies in the fastest route. I'll be providing some commentary over this run that I did to help explain stuff in detail. And there's also a lot of resources in the video description, which will help with learning the strategies present in the run. So with that, let's get into the run itself. The character creation, the main thing that matters is starting warrior and master key. Now the optimal route will pick black fire bombs, but because we're not doing Blighttown skip, we want to pick master key. So the first thing you see there is I unequip my chest piece in the cell. That's because warrior actually starts in mid-roll speed, so you want to like unequip that chest piece right off the bat, which is a little annoying, but if you're gonna run the optimal route, you're gonna have to do that, so just something to get used to. And on the ladder, you're just gonna take off all your stuff, and you can put the hilt in your offhand here so you can block out of animations, and you can hold block while sprinting so you can still roll instead of jumping. It looks a little weird to be holding the hilt like this, but trust me, it's for a good reason. So you just run past the Silent Demon because you don't have black fire bombs, and you can pick up the heater shield here and the long sword ahead. And then on this fog wall, you can equip your gear. If you're new to running these games, it's generally a good idea to equip stuff during other animations, just so you don't fumble around in the menu. Because you cannot sprint while menuing in this game. So it's actually not faster to kill Oscar, despite what you may have heard. You just talk to him real quick and get the key and run out. We're gonna go kill a Silent Demon. So this roll right here, right there, you see that? I do that to bait these hollows out of this hallway here. These guys are actually really annoying, but shouldn't be too bad to get by, but getting by them without getting stopped is pretty hard. So you do this jump attack here, and you want to land in the center of the Silent Demon's face, because if you do that, you will actually get a double hit on him, which will save a hit. So you can actually make this a little easier by going around to his backside to avoid his swings, but optimally you'll stay in front of him. But you know, kind of just experiment with what's easiest for you. And quit out on this door to skip the animation of opening the door. Saves a few seconds. Also, here's a neat little trick that you can do while jumping into the cutscene that takes you into Firelink. If you open up the key settings menu while you jump into here, it actually skips this like Firelink arrival message, so you can immediately start sprinting. That's not super necessary, but it'll save a little bit of time. And you see me doing all of these like toggles here. I'm doing those as I begin to sprint because it actually accelerates you to maximum speed a little bit faster. They're very optional, but if you want to know why I'm doing that, that's why. I get hit here, which is kind of a meme. Sometimes, very rarely, that guy will hit you there, but you know, it's fine. If you ever feel like you need to heal in this section, go for it. Because this section, you can get knocked up a lot by the hollows. So right there, you saw me like roll the stagger from the Drake. That's actually pretty precise, but okay, here's shopping. So you buy 1 firebomb, the rapier, the short bow, 3 arrows, and then you prop swap a bunch of leather gauntlets, and then you select the gauntlets again, and what that's doing is storing a negative quantity so I can duplicate some Twinkling Titanite, and that's how we're going to upgrade our weapon, the Black Knight Greatsword, to +5 later. And I have a explanation for that in the comments. There's a nice little trick here. You can just R2 these hollows. I recommend doing that for safety and for the souls, because this early game, you need to farm some souls from enemies so you have enough to level up to use the Black Knight Greatsword after the gargoyles. Now, the more advanced route, you won't pick up that gold pine resin, but skipping it makes this early game way more difficult, so we're just going to pick it up for now. And you want to bomb this lizard. This is going to give you the twinkling for you to do the negative quantity dupe on. Once again, menuing on the fog wall. You can buff about here and run to the side to avoid these arrows. And you want to do this specific combo on Taurus. Running attack on his side with another running attack one-handed, and then two-handed, 2 more attacks. Then get all of your stamina back, and then just wail on him and he'll die. And that first attack will stagger him. Alright, so there's the negative quantity dupe. I'll include that in the description for you. So you want to start sprinting here at that line that I just crossed. And run into this little safety spot, and use this humanity to increase your odds of getting a Black Knight Greatsword here. And this movement is pretty specific that you need to do to cut off the tail here. It should just be 3 R1s. Make sure you're two-handing as well. And I walk to the side to do this last hit so you can pick up this 800 soul a little easier. Like, if you don't do that little last little walk there forward, there's a decent chance that fire will hit you when you try to get away after picking up that 800 soul. And that's part of the farming that you need to do for the right soul count. You really want to get that. So this guy is just a parry, two-hand your Drake Sword, and then you want to rearrange your menu here, and then 2 more R1s and he's dead. And you see here, I did not get the Black Knight Greatsword. That's because, but I'm still continuing the run. That's because I'm using a program called Gadget Mage, which is running in the background that will drop the item for me even if I don't get the sword. I have that linked in the description as well for new runners to use. So I've move swapped here, and I've included a description, that in the description as well, how some move swap tips, tutorials. And you're going to kill these 2 Balder Knights for souls, send this elevator down, and then you want to kill this other Balder Knight. This one, and you also want to quit out here for an AFK strat we're going to do, but don't quit out too early because you need the souls to accumulate. So what I'm going to do here is trigger an unequip, roll into the corner, roll out of it, and then just start spamming toggles. And if done correctly, the enemies here just won't attack you whatsoever. And that makes this room a lot easier to get through, because that room's kind of a nightmare. And here you'll see another move swap. You can actually do the move swap off of a ladder. You can do it off pretty much any animation. So this fight is pretty annoying. I would recommend practicing it a lot. So even though that this is this route is easier overall versus the old route that people have been running with the Dragon Tooth, this early game is admittedly a little more annoying. Just because you have to do this specific fight. But it's not too bad. Sometimes they're just not extremely nice to you. Alright, so here you want to make sure you swap the Black Knight Greatsword to be above the bow. That's generally why I'm moving stuff around, is for move swap. Is so the weapon you want to move swap is directly above the bow. So we want to ring the bells here because we want to open up Firelink Altar for later, but also it's going to let us get into Sin's Fortress without having to do Sin's Gate Skip. Sin's Gate Skip's actually a little slower. Then we come right back to Firelink. And so we should have barely enough souls to get 22 strength and 18 dex, which is just enough to use the Black Knight Greatsword while two-handing it. And then here, you want to kill Lautrec. And it is not required, but it makes it a lot comfier to grab this Ring of Favor and Protection, because it's going to not only give you more HP and more endurance, but it's also going to allow you to fast roll while using the Black Knight Greatsword. So highly recommend as a beginner to grab that ring. But you want to kill him anyway, so you don't lose the Firelink bonfire. Right. So now we're heading to Quelaag to ring the other bell. And then using the master key to open this. So in the world record route, this is where you would do Blighttown skip. So this is one of the big time losses from doing the beginner route. But Blighttown skip is a very difficult skip to do. So instead of having to spend a whole bunch of time learning it, you can just jump right into doing runs with this easier route. Now I am going to be doing a more advanced way of getting to the bottom of Blighttown here, which you can learn if you want to. It's these plunges, which I'll include a link to how to perform them as well in the description. This saves, I don't know, maybe like 10 to 15 seconds, maybe even 20, versus the alternative way of getting down here, which is still a pretty nice time save. But you can definitely die while doing it, so up to you whether you want to do that or just drop down normally. So here we're going to swap the Black Knight Greatsword now. So we have a little bit better damage here than we did on Gargoyles. However, Quelaag's pretty tanky. So, yeah. Not a super difficult boss though, but I still recommend, practicing all of these boss fights. After this fight, the bosses are going to become significantly easier in terms of the damage that you're dealing, because we're going to get a +5 Black Knight Greatsword after this fight. So you can actually hit Quelaag in the body on the top of the spider here if you aim it well, and that will save that last hit for you, but it's a little tough to do. I recommend trying to go for it, trying to learn how to do it. I'm still not very good at it myself. It's a bit tricky, but if you manage to land one of those hits on her body, it will save a hit. Right here, so I'm going to swap the humanity for the Quelaag soul, because we're going to be using that, and you just use the bone. Oh, I forgot to mention, you also are going to be, that bone that I just used there was the bone that we used at Gargoyles too. I did a confirmation box dupe, so I'll include a confirmation box dupe in the description as well. So here we're going to buy a few important things from Petrus, which we're going to be using for the wrong warp at the end of the run. So you want to join his covenant and purchase Force and Homeward, and then 2 talismans. And this is how we're going to skip to the end of the game later on. And here, this is another example of a confirmation box dupe. We're going to dupe this Quelaag soul, 5 times here? I think you only need to do it 4. But you have enough time to do it 5 times. So might as well. And now we're going to be running to Andre, and here is where we're going to upgrade our Black Knight Greatsword. And if you want to, for safety, you can rest at this Undead Parish bonfire here. But optimally, you will not take any more bonfires for the rest of the run. Which is part of the reason why this route is fast, is that you just skip every bonfire except for Firelink, basically. So you're gonna upgrade to +5, and then we're just gonna run straight to Sins. And this next like part of the run is like really comfy, and it's just a lot of running. So Sin's Fortress is a pretty simple area to run through. You really just need to know the cycles that it runs on, and it's going to be like the same every time. You can optimally go here without stopping like I did there, but this cycle that I stop on and go on is a lot comfier. So starting off, I would definitely recommend pretty much matching my movement here on the cycles that I do. So this boulder's gonna come here, you can just wait it out and then go. Yeah, there's not even a lot of menuing to do here. You just keep running. Up ahead, there's a boulder that's gonna be coming down these stairs. You just want to go up here and then quit out to skip it. And watch out for this trap part, but if you run like totally straight, you shouldn't get hit by those. Some people like to run against the wall, like diagonally as well. I just run straight and it pretty much never hits me. You want to punch this guy out of the way. Sometimes that guy will approach you though, like instantly, and punching him can be bad, so I'd say like pay attention to what he's doing. But yeah, usually you just punch him out of the way and keep going. And it's easy cycles right there. If you like match the movement that I did at that Sin's Fortress from Andre to Sin's, you should have pretty much similar results with it as I did there. So normally in the other route you would move swap the Drake Sword here, because they do Sin's Gate skip, and they just have a Drake Sword for Iron Golem here. And the Drake Sword Iron Golem fight is really one of the harder boss fights like in this game. But because of the routing that we do in this run, you don't even move swap. You just equip the Black Knight Greatsword, and we're just gonna do a running attack. So I would really pay attention to my movement and timing here. And if done correctly, you'll just hit him right as he turns right here, and then just do a follow-up R1, and he's gone. And that's another strat right there to get through the fire quickly. You want to input a roll, and in the middle of the roll, input a toggle, and your character will automatically do a thing called a toggle escape, and then you can just hit the warp without taking any extra damage. Like, you'll take a little damage on the fire, but it's fine. You just heal on this elevator up here. Here's another place where you can take a safety bonfire. You can take this Enerlander bonfire if you're starting off. But optimally, you'll just run right past it. Now, if you see all these splits that I'm using, you can do these manually, but I recommend using the auto splitter for them. And I am going to also link into the description my auto splitter save files, so if anyone wants to just have like splits set up for them, they'll have that available. So this part's kind of scary. You see I healed outside of the window there. That is slower. You don't have to heal there, but as a beginner, I would recommend healing here, because this, like, all sorts of stuff can happen to you on this, not only this rafters section, but Anorlando in general. This section, there's a lot of running, but there's constantly enemies throwing stuff at you, especially from behind. So taking it safe through here is not a bad idea. It's also not a bad idea to take that Anorlando bonfire at the beginning because of that. But with some experience, you should be able to get here through this area mostly consistently without getting messed up. But yeah, starting off, it can be pretty brutal. So you see here, I have equipped the Black Knight Greatsword, just not even move swapped. I had the rapier on the rafters to stab the enemies out of the way because they're pretty annoying, and the rapier moveset can hit them much quicker to get them out of the way. But here we're going to be using the BKGS because of the Silver Knight archers ahead. There's that Silver Knight archer that's going to block us before the next fog wall, and we can just do a running attack on him and get him out of the way. So here, a lot of runners just look backwards to see these guys throwing spears at them, but I use audio cues. I actually use audio cues for this whole section, and you can tell you can tell how to move by just listening the whole time. But you know, like I'd say, kind of find out what works best for you. And see there, we just get that dude out of the way, doing a running attack on him. He just instantly dies. Alright, so you can also take that bonfire here before Ornstein and Smo for safety, but of course optimally you just run right past it. And there's the little stair skip to get over here. If you're having trouble with that jump, just try to do it from a little bit higher, I'd say. Alright, so you just drop down, and if you hide right here after you drop, none of the enemies notice you. You can just get an easy heal. And I move swap here in front of the fog wall, which is optimal, but if you're, you know, just learning how to move swap, you can move swap earlier. But yeah, this fight is a lot easier than the Dragon Tooth +0 fight. As you'll see, it's just 2 running attacks on Ornstein, and he's dead. And I miss a hit here to start off on Smo. But Smo is also a 2-hit stagger, just like Ornstein with this weapon, and it's just a few running attacks and he dies. So much, much easier and faster fight than the Dragon Tooth fight. And that's it. So now we are basically moving to the end of the run, and we're going to be performing a wrong warp. In order to access the final area, you really just need to get the Lord Vessel and then entry, get an entry point to Firelink Altar, which is why we ring the bells. So now we have the Lord Vessel, we've rung both bells. Now we can get to the end of the game. So we're going to go down to the Firelink Altar, place the Lord Vessel, rest, level up to where... So we're going to level up 12 Attunement, 24 Endurance, 25 Strength, and 12 Faith for a variety of reasons. But we need to level up the Attunement and Faith so we can perform the wrong warp, and the other stats are just to make Gwen better. So you see that level up, and then we want to attune Force and Homeward. And I have linked in the description a video reference for this particular setup that I'm doing, and for wrong warp in general. But basically you're going to get stuck in this corner. This is the easiest way to do this. There are faster ways to do this setup off of this tree, but this is like the simplest way to do it. I would recommend as a beginner starting off with this. So right there I did a boat and arrow cancel and then 3 rolls forward, and then you aim to that spot and then unzoom and then input a spell swap. And if you do it correctly, you should fall off properly to where you get a wrong warp. That I will say that one arrow shot that I did was a mistake. Don't do that one arrow shot. But yeah, I'll include in the description a video reference for how to perform the spell swaps. But if you mess that up, you kind of have to redo the whole thing, which sucks. And that is one of the things that is harder about this route than the Dragon Tooth one. The Dragon Tooth one, you do a very simple Pyro Flame wrong warp. But this one, because you don't start Pyromancer, you have to do this more annoying wrong warp. But if you do it that way, it's not too bad. And here we're on just a victory march to Gwen. This is something that is much better in this route than the Dragon Tooth route. This boss is actually really, really annoying, especially with Dragon Tooth +0 because it takes so many hits to kill him. But with this setup, he dies pretty fast. There's also a slightly faster way of killing him that I don't do here, where you finish him off with a riposte. So you do all this damage to start with, and then you, the last hit, you parry him and kill him with the riposte of your weapon, and that saves like a good bit of time. But that's a little more advanced, so I'm not showing it here. This is the easiest way to just kill him, just running attack him until he dies. And then that's the run. And this was a 22. I think like if you get really good at this route, you could probably get a 21 with this. This wasn't the best run, and I wasn't using the fastest strats either. But if you get really good at this, you can certainly get a 21. However, I would suggest if you get a 22 at this route, you're probably ready to move on to the more advanced route, which is very, very similar to this one. The major differences are you start off with black fire bombs, so you save a lot of time on Asylum Demon. You also skip the resin, so you save a lot of time on Taurus. There's a faster way to, or a different way really to farm souls. So you'll save a bunch of time in that early game, and then you'll also save a lot of time on Quelaag by doing Blighttown skip. So it's like a lot of time saved by doing the more advanced route, but it's also a lot more difficult. So this is a really good starting point, and it's a easy transition from this to the faster version. So I would recommend checking out QQ's world record run, which I can also link in the description for reference of what the fastest route looks like. But this is a pretty good starting point. Now, if you don't want to farm the Black Knight Greatsword, that's understandable. There still is the Dragon Tooth route, which exists, and you're free to use that. I think it's a little slower than this, but not by like a ton. So it's, whatever you think is cooler, feel free to just do whatever. But I think that this overall is probably a better introduction to any percent than the Dragon Tooth route, and it's got some more updated strats to it. Although you can definitely add on more stuff to this, make it faster. This is just me doing the kind of like basics of speedrunning this game. So yeah, make sure you check the description for more detail and some tutorials and resources you can use to help run this. And also make sure if you have any questions, ask in the comments or join the Speed Souls Discord and ask for help there. We'd love to help you get up and running this great speedrun game. All right, well, thank you guys, and I'll see you next time. Make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see more speedrunning content in the future from me. And y'all have a nice day.